Hey, welcome to Nikki and James Review Tech Stuff. This week we're going to do the iPhone SE. Next week we're going to do a spatula. So, we're going to drop the phone and get right into it. So, this is the 2020 iPhone SE from Apple. Obviously, first impressions, build quality is fantastic because it's Apple. This comes in 3 different colors. We have black, white, and product red. Screen size is 4.7 inches, so it's the same size as the iPhone 8 non-plus or 7 non-plus, you know, all those. So it feels pretty small going from a 7 Plus to the SE. Other than that, it's good. The screen on the iPhone SE is a 4.7-inch LCD display. It's the Retina HD display, meaning the resolution is 1334 by 750 pixels with a pixel density of 326. It has a wide color gamut display covering most of the P3 color space. It has a True Tone, which is, some people like it, some people don't. I personally think it isn't the most color accurate, but some people think it's more pleasing to the eye, so to each his own. They've done away with 3D touch, so now it's all just haptic touch, which, I mean, I personally preferred 3D touch. I felt it was a much more appealing tactile feedback, but the haptic feedback is fine, it still works. You have 3 different storage options. You start at 64 gigabytes, 128, up to 256 gigabytes. So that's a lot of storage, especially for the price. Starts at $400. So 64 gigabytes, that's a lot of videos, a lot of photos, all that good stuff, a lot of apps. For the processor, we have the A13 Bionic chip. That's Apple's latest processor. It has their 3rd generation neural network. That gives you much better performance for augmented reality apps. It gives you the portrait mode and stuff for your camera. You have 3 gigabytes of RAM. You have an 1821 milliamp hour battery, which is kind of a small battery, but in exchange for that, you get wireless charging and you get fast charging, which is 50% in 30 minutes with a fast charger. I've actually experienced that and it's fantastic. I've been using the phone for 4 or 5 months now, basically since it came out. The day it came out, I got it. It lasts pretty much all day for me. I'm usually right by a charger, so it's not much of an issue. I think as long as you're a moderate user and you're not like constantly watching videos, it could last you all day. Otherwise, you're gonna want to charge at least once, but luckily with fast charging, it's not that big a deal. You just slap it on the charger for 20 minutes and you're good to go for the rest of the day. So it's IP67 rated for splash water and dust resistance. That's up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. That's pretty good for a $400 phone. The only experience I've had with it so far is I got basically filled up the charging port with rain, and it basically just gave me a warning: don't plug in the phone. We detect water in the charging port. Give it a couple hours to dry and you'll be good to go. So that's pretty cool. The rear camera is a 12 megapixel lens with a 1.8 aperture. It has 5 times digital zoom. You have optical image stabilization as well as software image stabilization. The portrait features with the bokeh, the depth of field, and all the lighting options and all that. So the camera, in addition to taking 4K photos, also does 4K video recording up to 60 FPS. You have slow-mo at 1080p, going all the way up to 240 FPS. You have 3 times digital zoom when you're taking a video. It has image stabilization and all that while you're taking a video, which is good. And the front camera has a 7 megapixel 2.2 aperture lens. It also has the portrait functionality with the bokeh and the lighting effects, but it only does 1080p recording up to 30 FPS. That's about all the interesting features of the camera. So, my thoughts on the phone are basically, so it runs iOS. Obviously, Apple has great software, runs smoothly, I haven't had any issues with that. The phone's size, because before this I had the 7 Plus, and I actually really liked the large form factor, but I was surprised. The first day I got the phone, it was just constantly a shock how tiny it felt compared to the 7 Plus. But it's actually grown on me a lot, and it's almost more convenient not to have such a large device in my pocket all the time. I feel less like I'm gonna like break the phone in half when I'm sitting down or something. But it's also really nice because I have kept the 7 Plus, so it's really nice to go back to that one as well, like when I'm watching videos. They both have definite pros and cons. I think it's nicer to carry around the smaller phone size, but it's nicer to consume media on the larger screen, obviously. If you're using it for like Instagram or Facebook, it's nice because it has a bit of a taller aspect ratio than the 7 Plus. And I personally just think it's a really good phone. It's $400, you can't really go wrong there. You start out with 64 gigabytes, you have the latest hardware from Apple, You have kind of a small battery, but you have fast charging and wireless charging in exchange for that. And I think it's a good buy.